Hi y'all, welcome to this video. In this video we're going to talk about my bookish hot takes. Some of these aren't that like hot takes, but they're the ones I could think of. Okay, it took me forever to even come up with these. I was originally going to do your guys' bookish hot takes, but I kept putting off posting it on my Instagram, so I had to do it myself. So first one up is when a book is marketed as enemies to lovers, but it's just people that don't like each other. So many books out there are marketed as enemies to lovers, and they just don't like each other, or they have this one miscommunication thing where it's why they don't like each other. I'm just so annoyed by book publishers and everything saying this is enemies to lovers, and it's not. Enemies to lovers is when the two people cannot stand each other for a significant portion of the book. I would say a third of the book. Is that more than a half? Okay. More than half the book should be them being enemies. They should not get to be lovers till the very end of a book. And if it's several books, then they should be enemies for the first whole book. If it's duology, then the enemies should be for the first whole book, and then half of the second book. And then they can be lovers from there on. Trilogy, it gets difficult if you have more books in a series, okay? But if it's just a standalone, it should be pretty easy. And enemies to lovers does not work in contemporary romance. Rivals to lovers works very well in contemporary romance, and that is what I see. A lot of books will be saying, oh, this is enemies to lovers, but really when I go and buy the book and I start reading it, I'm like, these people are just rivals. Can we start calling it what it really is, instead of being like, yeah, this is enemies, when it's not. And half the time when I've read enemies to lovers books, and it is, first off, it's just, and it's in contemporary, there just has a miscommunication where they didn't like each other because of one little thing, but they don't do anything really other than that. They don't do things to try to ruin each other's lives. They just don't like each other. And then, I don't know, it just really bugs me. There's so many books. I need to look on my Goodreads just to see which ones have been marketed as that, because they always have little tags under them. And I distinctly remember some of these being marketed as that. I just have to scroll through my read books. Okay. Let's see here. I think this one was marketed as that. The tags. Yes, okay. Love on the Brain by Allie Hazelwood. Down in the tags, it says this is enemies to lovers. The book was not enemies to lovers. This guy liked her the whole time. She just didn't know. That's not enemies to lovers. Okay? Because if he liked her the whole time, how are they enemies? That doesn't work. There's definitely more, but I just don't always know which ones are. I know there's this one that I did read last year that I swear was marketed as enemies to lovers, and I know for a fact it was not. I just have to find it, which is what takes a while because I don't always remember when exactly I read it. Okay. I have to double check that this is what it says. Yes, Not in My Book by Kate Holt. This one, down in the genres, it says enemies to lovers. It is not enemies to lovers. These people do not like each other at all. So that's my little rant on that. I just need people to stop marketing them as enemies to lovers when they're not. Enemies to lovers works really well in fantasy. It can work okay in dark romance. Okay, it can work. It's more difficult. Contemporary romance, it does not work in because these people are never going far enough to make it actual enemies. So there's that. And then the next one, okay, the pregnancy trope can be good as long as it's done right. People out there love to hate on the pregnancy trope. I don't dislike it. I've read some books where it's done really well and I have enjoyed it. I've also read some where it's done really bad and I didn't like it. To me, as long as it's done good, I will read it. It's not obviously my favorite trope to read, just because, I don't know, it's just not my favorite, but I will read it and I can enjoy it. Yeah. I think it's The Goal by Elle Kennedy. They had a pregnancy trope. and it was done really well, and I enjoyed that. Even Exchange, they did the pregnancy trope decently, so I didn't dislike it either in that. There are some books where I can agree that the pregnancy trope does not work, but if it's done well, I'll read it. I'll like it. Third is I prefer paperbacks over hardcovers. I do own a lot of hardcovers, but I don't prefer them. Some people really do prefer the hardcovers, especially like the special editions, because they always have the special editions in hardcovers, and I will tend to buy them because they're the special edition and I just throw them on top of my bookshelf. But I don't choose to read a book that is a hardcover because, I don't know, like this is a thicker book, but I like to be able to just hold the book and everything, and with a hardcover that's a lot more difficult because I have to take the covering off of it because I don't like holding that, and then sometimes I like to fold the cover over and I can't do that with a hardcover. There's just different reasons, but obviously I don't really care if you prefer hardcover or paperbacks. And then fourth is read what you want. Some people are very particular about what people read. Like, I don't know, some people really want people to read intellectual books and don't count like romance as really reading. I don't really care. I read primarily romance because that's what I enjoy reading, and so that's what I'm going to pick up and read. I literally could care less what someone's reading. You could be out here reading, I don't know, some intellectual book that I can't think of a name for. And then you could also go read Rewind It Back by Liz Tomford. You could read either of those, and I couldn't care. As long as you're reading, I'm okay with what it is. I do count audiobooks as reading, but I would say if you are listening to an audiobook, try to at least sometimes pick up a book, like a physical book, and read the words on that. There's that. Like, if you primarily read audiobooks, that's still reading. You're still ingesting those words. So that's fine. So yeah. I rarely listen to audiobooks just because I need to be doing something if I'm listening to them. So there's that. But some people, that's what they do. Yeah, go ahead, do that. I'm always just like, I do like when people actually do pick up a physical book sometimes. I don't know where I'm going at this point with it, but like the physical book, because then you can also like read that as well. I don't know where I'm going with this whole thing now. So let's get to number 5, which is the last one. The book cover matters. I do not want an ugly book cover on my shelf. I am very particular with what book covers I like, and so there's that. Like, any of the book covers behind me, I don't mind those. I do not love the character covers. I just don't like that. I don't know why, I just don't. But I still own them because they're not super ugly. If it is an ugly book cover, I might still read the book. I will read it on my Kindle instead of owning the physical book. Especially if it's just like a guy on the front cover. I do not want that. Like, I do not want to be reading that book out in public at all, because sometimes that's what you have to do. I have the old off-campus books, like before they got the cartoony covers, and I did like those. They were like a little embarrassing to read out in public, but I like them more than the cartoony ones. I own both, and I don't know. So there's that. I prefer when it doesn't have anyone on the cover. Like this one has people in the background, but you can't really see them, and so I think it works because it kind of looks more like people, but it's like a hockey rink, and I kind of like that. Or this is like a football. I enjoyed this. This looks nice. I don't know. To me, the book cover matters, and I have certain things I like and certain things I don't. For some reason, I just don't like people or cartoony people on the covers. So yeah, there's that. So that'll be the end of the bookish hot takes. And comment down below your bookish hot takes, and maybe I'll make one with your guys' hot takes. So yeah, like and subscribe, comment down below your bookish hot takes, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!